So you clicked on this video because you're either a newbie in Jailbreak, or you're just genuinely bad at grinding. However, there's no need to worry because in today's video I'll be guiding you guys through the best grinding methods in Jailbreak, specifically for free-to-play players. But first, let's figure out what you're grinding for. In game, there are 3 main goals for grinding in Jailbreak. The first one is pretty obvious, cash. If you grind cash, you're basically building up your inventory and saving up for future updates. Secondly, hyperchromes. Hyperchromes are extremely valuable, with a hyper diamond level 5 at around 48 million, rounding that up to 50 million. And the third one is trading. Trading is basically the end game for Jailbreak, specifically for the players who want to build up their inventory and getting rarer items. Now that we found out what you're grinding for, let's first get into the criminal team. As a criminal, you have a lot of places to rob. The bank, the jewelry store, the museum, power plant, and so much more. If you rob every place whenever it's open, then you're either a starter player or you're just doing what some of us call variety grinding. Variety grinding basically means robbing every available stores whenever it's open while also aiming for both cash and spins. But to grind this properly, I recommend checking what's open first. Let's say for example, the bank, the jewelry store, the museum, and the power plant are all open around the same time, and I recommend robbing them in this order. Start with the bank and then head to the jewelry store. After that, go to the museum, then straight to the power plant. And here's the reason why. Because the distance between these robberies aren't too far apart, it's easier to move efficiently from point A to point B. However, let's just say you don't have a key card which you need to access the bank. In that case, just go to the jewelry store and then the museum. After that, go straight to the power plant. Now another question comes up, why rob the museum first? A lot of people ask this because they don't know the power combo method. The museum robbery bag is considered a tool, meaning you can drop it and pick it back up later. That also means you can rob the power plant at the same time since uranium is from the power plant and it isn't treated like a tool, it's treated like something your character can carry. To summarize this, all you have to do is to rob the museum and then go straight to the power plant. After that, you go into the volcano base and collect your cash. This lets you complete both robberies in one run and saves a lot of time. And I highly recommend doing this in a small server or a private server if you can get one. It's much easier and there are little to no cops interrupting. And I estimated that you can earn roughly 70,000 cash per hour doing solo and 100,000 cash per hour doing normal runs. This is because robberies like the tomb, the museum, and the oil rig requires at least 2 players to rob. Now that we're done with cash, let's go ahead and talk about hyperchromes. People usually grind these for trading value, and there used to be a lot of hyperchrome grinding methods, but most of them were patched. So now I'll tell you guys how to grind hyperchrome legitimately and faster. However, not every hyperchrome has a faster method, but I'll go through the ones that actually do. Let's start out with hypergreen. This one is fairly simple. There are 2 banks and 8 floor layouts total, 5 in the Rising City Bank and 3 in the Creator City Bank. All you need to do is to complete the obstacles, grab the least amount of cash possible, and leave immediately. This saves time and can prevent cops from busting you out, especially in public servers. Now let's talk about Hyper Diamond. This one you get from the jewelry store. Now all you need to do is to enter the jewelry store, punch 1 glass case, complete the obstacle course, and zipline back to the criminal base. And I recommend you guys ziplining because it is a lot faster than parachuting down and getting your car to the criminal base. And that's pretty much it for Hyper Diamond. Next up is Hyper Orange. This one can be a little bit complicated because you do need 2 players. So either you grab a friend or an odd account, or maybe ask someone in a small private server to help. However, before robbing the museum, you can go up to the mountain where you can see the jailbreak sign. There you can see a jetpack you can purchase for 50,000 cash. Now some of you may ask, why would we need a jetpack for? Here's why. Because if your partner dies, you can actually use the jetpack to escape through the bomb entrance. And it also saves a lot of time, so having a jetpack as a backup is a lot more easier. And last but not least, Hyper Yellow. And this one is a little bit weird because it comes from 2 different trains, the cargo train and the passenger train. The cargo train is a bit easier and faster because all you need to do is to blow up the vault, get into the vault, and grab the smallest amount of cash and leave. However, for the passenger train, it's a lot more time consuming. You need to get inside, collect an item, and go all the way to the volcano base, turn it in, then spin for the hyperchrome. However, it does work, but it is a little bit time consuming, and there's 2 reasons why. Number 1 is that the passenger train is a little bit hard to get onto. And the second reason is sometimes you don't even get to rob anything. Like sometimes it generally doesn't have anything for you to rob because other people has already stole everything from it, which can be a little bit annoying. But at the end of the day, it's still hyperchrome pity, so rob it if you can. And that's basically all for the criminal team. Now let's move on to the police team. Now, police can't actually grind hyperchrome, so we'll have to focus on cash grinding. There are a few main ways cops can earn money, the first method being the bank truck. You can earn around 8,000 cash per run, but after that you need to wait around 15 minutes before doing it again. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing this as your main method, but with that 15 minutes of waiting, you can actually do this next method while the cooldown is cooling. And I'm pretty sure most of you have heard of this method. If not, then it's called bounty hunting. This is one of the most skill-based methods, but also one of the most rewarding. Now, you guys can go ahead and search the Roblox server page for small servers with high bounty. What you have to do is you click on descending and then set to ascending. This will let you see all the smaller servers. However, the second way is even better. You can go ahead and head to the jailbreak changelog, which is supported by the demo themselves. It's a really useful tool and I highly recommend it because you can track robberies. Like let's say you want to deliver some bank trucks, you can go ahead and click on the bank truck, or you want to see open mansions, you can go ahead and see open mansions, or you want to collect some airdrops, which you can also track down, but currently there's no airdrops. Oh, there's one that popped up. But you can also track bounties, and this is really overpowered because you can check people's inventory. So this server has the highest bounty with 38,000, and as you guys can see, you can check their inventory, like what they have. This is really useful because you can tell if these guys are actually a challenge or not. And I'll say this again, this is a really useful website if you're trying to bounty hunt, and people get a lot from bounty hunting, and I mean a lot. So bounty hunting is a great method if you're competitive and you are confident in your PvP skills. However, let's get into the next method, which is collecting airdrops. You can find airdrops in the dunes or the valley, and each airdrop gives around 4,000 to 10,000 cash. And I recommend buying the sniper rifle because you can fight from long range and avoid getting attacked by NPCs. However, if you can't buy the sniper, then I recommend you guys buying the AK or the revolver. And after you completed all 5 ways during the airdrop, you can go ahead and open the crate, and you can collect rewards like saves or cash. And after all of that, we are left with one last method. And I discovered this method myself, and it does not require any glitches or exploits. However, it does require your skill, some good aims, and 155,000 cash. With that money, buy these weapons: revolver, force field launcher, plasma pistols, AK-47, and the sniper. Now the first step is to find a server with an active bank truck and go ahead and complete the delivery, and you should earn around 8,000 cash. Step 2 is to fight the CEO. You can go ahead and head to the mansion, or if it's not open, then switch servers until you find one. You can also bring friends, but I mostly do the solo. When the fight starts, you have to shoot the CEO once in order to make his first move activated. Then use the force field launcher for safety and use the plasma pistols to clear the NPCs from the doorway. After the NPCs are gone, the CEO will start to make his first move. At this point, switch back to the revolver and shoot him behind the shield lines. Once his first move ends, go ahead and move to the bottom left corner near the red carpet. This will give you 2 walls for protection and better distance from future NPCs. After that, just keep shooting, blocking his attack, and manage the NPC waves. Now, I recommend using the revolver only on the CEO, the AK-47 and plasma pistols on the NPCs. You should finish in around 4 to 5 minutes. After you complete the CEO, you want to go ahead and find an airdrop. If you don't find one, then you can go ahead and switch servers using the jailbreak changelog website. Now, I calculated this method and estimated around 26k cash per run and 35k cash on a good run. In real time, each run takes around 10 to 15 minutes since there might be some interruptions, but that means you can earn around 160,000 cash per hour, and that's almost double of what you earn from normal variety grinding. If you do grind consistently like 5 hours per day and you do this for 6 days straight, that's 30 total hours, which means you can get around 4.8 million cash per week, rounding that up to 5 million. This method is a lot more entertaining and it does test your awareness, your skill set, and your aim. However, now that you know how to grind properly, it's time to reach your first milestones. And I hope you all find this video helpful. If you did, consider liking the video and subscribing because I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. And that's going to be all for today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Good luck.